2024 NFL playoffs, it's the divisional round. The divisional round is what it's about. You're down to the final 4 teams. In each conference, you get the top seeds, the number 1 seeds, playing games again. And this is when it gets serious. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, 3 outdoors, 1 indoors. There's a lot of pressure on teams and players and head coaches this week. The very first game, and it's strange that the very first game is the Chiefs hosting the Texans, because the Chiefs are, after all, the defending Super Bowl champions. They've won 2 in a row. And they are attempting to be the first team to three-peat in the NFL. And how rare is it when we're considering the 3 major sports to have three-peats? It's never happened in the Super Bowl era. The Green Bay Packers won Super Bowl 1 and 2. They did not get a 3rd Super Bowl. You take the great Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s. They were unable to do it. 74, 75, but not 76. 78, 79, but not 80. The 49ers of the 80s into the 90s, 88, 89. As Pat Summerall said, there will be no three-peat in the 1990 Conference Championship game. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, 92, 93, but not 94. They did get 95. And then the Patriots. 03, 04, not 05. They had 16. They didn't have 17, but they had 18. The Chiefs have had such a great run, 22 and 23. Can they make it happen in 24? And this team, who's trying to be the first, they have the opening game of a divisional round. They don't have the featured game on Saturday or Sunday, and they're playing the Texans. And let me back up again. When you think about teams going for three-peats, how rare it is. I have seen a team do it, but it wasn't in the NFL. I'd have to go, because we're just focusing on the 3 major sports here. The Bulls of the 90s did it twice. A pair of three-peats. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. 91, 92, 93. 96, 97, 98. The Lakers, Kobe Bryant and Shaq, had a three-peat. 2000, 1 and 2. The Warriors were close, but they couldn't do it. They won in 15, lost in 16, won in 17, 18, lost in 19. And I didn't even get to see all the Bulls. But the Yankees, the New York Yankees, did it. Joe Torre's Yankees, 96. They didn't even make it to the World Series in 97. That's how high the standard was for the Yankees. They failed for 1 year. But they won in 98, 99, 2000. And then they were back in the series again and lost in 7 in 2001. The Chiefs hosting the Texans. This should be an easy win for the Chiefs. I respect the Texans. The Texans are not as good as they were last year. They took advantage of a team that really beat itself in the Chargers. The Texans have a couple things going for them in this one. They have no pressure. They have no expectations at this point. They have a skilled young quarterback. I think overall they're well coached. And they do have a good defense that might just keep them in this game. Well, I was thinking of more than two things they have going for them. But those are a couple things. But with that said, the Chiefs, if we go and break down who has the advantage, better head coach, clearly the better quarterback, the best quarterback. I don't care if Lamar wins the MVP, if Josh Allen wins the MVP. In any game the Chiefs play, the advantage will always go to them because they have Patrick Mahomes, and he has the intangibles that cannot be measured. And as the game goes on, and as it gets deeper and later in the game, when other quarterbacks tighten up, Mahomes gets better. Under pressure. He gets better under pressure. Advantage to the Chiefs. Overall offense to the Chiefs. Defense goes to the Chiefs. Home field advantage goes to the Chiefs. While the Chiefs don't blow teams out, and generally teams would hang in there with the Chiefs, they have had weeks off to prepare, weeks off to get rested, and do what no team has done to this point. If anything that the Chiefs have to battle, it's a little rust. I like them by, I don't see any kind of blowout, but I see a 10 to 14 point victory. I think the Texans are going to have a hard time, more so on offense versus this Chiefs defense. And if anything, it's going to be a lower scoring game. It could be 21 to 10, 24-13. I say the Chiefs will win by at least 10, but no more than 14. And I fully expect them to move on to the conference championship game to face either the Ravens or the Bills. And I don't think there's much more needs to be broken down there for that game. And I will say the better games are Sunday. Sunday's games. Saturday's games are okay. Because you have the top seeds and you have weaker opponents, as it usually is. But it's interesting that both of the number one seeds, what you would call the Super Bowl favorites in each conference, they're playing Saturday, not Sunday. Lions hosting the Commanders. And the Commanders, the Texans, if you think about them, they had a lot of expectations. Some people were even picking the Texans to get to the Super Bowl and even topple the Chiefs. Bring the Chiefs down. Remember that in the off-season and the beginning of the season? My, how things have changed. The Commanders, though, were not supposed to be here. New head coach, Dan Quinn. Rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Lions had their bye. Lions have pressure. The Chiefs have pressure on them, but it's more the pressure and the expectations that come from winning so much. But the Lions have never won a Super Bowl. They came close to the Super Bowl. And, they had the huge lead on the 49ers last year, and they couldn't put the 49ers away. And they had one of the worst second halves you're going to see in a playoff game for a team with a lead like the Lions had. Now, this year, they accomplished what they wanted to do. They're the top seed. The home field advantage belongs to them. The NFC runs through Detroit. Now, this is not a healthy football team. They have many injuries. But the good news for them is I don't think it's going to hurt them too much in this divisional round. The Commanders have had a good season. They won a playoff game on top of it. And it appears they're going to have a very bright future. I think because they're well coached, they have a very talented quarterback who plays like a veteran, who's a rookie. And they're very sound on defense. They're going to make this interesting. I don't think they have enough to win, to pull the upset. But they're going to be loose. I think you're going to see both teams going on. You're going to see as many fourth down attempts on offense as I can think of, because the Lions are ultra aggressive. Everyone knows that. And then the Commanders are going to be loose because they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. Anything they gain here is gravy. It's just icing on the cake for them this season. If they can somehow keep it close and not turn the football over, they have a chance. I think the Lions' offense is, wow, they're going to be really pulling out the plays. Ben Johnson is going to be pulling out all kinds of plays. He's been storing up. He may not even have to because it's the divisional round. But, you just don't know what to expect from the Lions. What might they do? And it was huge for the Lions game, home field advantage. Because Jared Goff plays better indoors. This is a team that's built more for indoor football. It's not to say they can't travel, they can't win outdoors, but they are better indoors. what I'm going to be looking for is what the Lions defense looks like. How good is the Lions defense going to be because of the obvious injuries? I mean, I can't say enough about Aaron Glenn and the job that the defense did against the Vikings. That Sunday night game. What is he going to have in store for a rookie quarterback who has passed all the tests thus far? So the Lions, in order to win, really have to come out strong, come out fast, and they can't allow the Commanders to hang in the game. That's when I think it's really going to get dangerous for the Commanders. For the Lions. If they allow the Commanders to hang in the game. And how many shootouts? The Lions can afford to have a shootout this week versus a team like the Commanders. If they win, but they win a shootout, they're going to be more in trouble in the next round and potentially in a Super Bowl. I still have my concerns about their defense, but they should be good enough to win. And similar to the AFC divisional game between the Chiefs and the Texans, I say the Lions by 10. But a higher scoring game. Could be 38-28. But what we're really excited for are the Sunday games. And to get to the weather in Kansas City too. The weather in Kansas City, it's just cold. There's no snow in the forecast. Sunday though, Eagles and Rams, there is snow in the forecast. Last I checked, 75% chance of snow. Sunday, a 75% chance it'll snow. And it's very important for the Eagles to have the number 2 seed. I think they're kicking themselves that they couldn't get the 1 seed, because imagine if they had the 1 seed and the Lions would have to go to Philadelphia and potentially play in the snow. Just the fact that it'd be very cold would be much more difficult on the Lions. But what's done is done. The Rams are playing good football. They were very impressive against the Vikings. They played a game that... these two teams both dominate the Vikings. That's what they have in common. The Rams and the Lions. And the Rams are going into Philadelphia with a lot of confidence. The Eagles won a good game, but not a very impressive game against the Packers. They're going to be challenged more. I really wonder how much the weather will affect the Rams. The Rams are a well-rounded team. These are both well-rounded teams. And you're going to have a really good team going home after this matchup. On paper, it seems like they're pretty even. I'd say coaching advantage, head coaching advantage goes to Sean McVay. But it's going to be Sean McVay versus Vic Fangio. I mean, that's a very intriguing coaching matchup there. Quarterbacks, who has the better quarterback? Well, I'd actually go Rams right now with Stafford. Running backs, Saquon. Receivers, man, there are really good receivers. I mean, when you're talking about Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, and then you're talking about Brown and Smith, I'd almost say it's a draw. They're even. Defenses. Neither defense has one of these guys that has 15 sacks on the season, but they have all kinds of pass rushers. They have pass rushing depth, and they have very good front sevens. I mean, key factors for me is whose running game is going to be better, and I'm really going with the Eagles because of Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be the difference. It's being cold, being a snow game, running game becomes very important. And even if it doesn't snow, just the fact that it's cold. The Rams they're going to need to be able to run the ball effectively. But when I'm just comparing these two offenses, Eagles have as good of an offensive line as any in the league. Saquon Barkley right now is the best running back going in football. And he could be held down throughout the game, but it's just one play, and he can kill you. He can take it. I mean, that's the threat of him. That anytime he touches the football, he's a threat to go all the way, take it to the house. The Rams really aren't like that. And the thing about the Eagles' offense is I feel against these NFC teams that they can get away with Jalen Hurts not playing at his best. I mean, they could potentially even beat the Lions with, a B performance out of Jalen Hurts. It's just hard to know exactly where he's at after that first wild card game because he didn't have to do a whole lot. And I think there was rust for him. He's coming back from the concussion, and we'll see if the Eagles have to open it up. Can the Rams stop the run? Can the Rams stop the run? And I wonder about how their offense and just the team altogether will do in this really cold weather. I mean, this is a California team it's not just a California team. They're a California team that plays indoors. I mean, I think that's really soft. And I don't think any California team should be playing indoors. But that's what the Rams are now. How will they take the cold? I feel those are the two biggest factors in this game, is the potential weather, major advantage to the Eagles. And can they stop Saquon Barkley? Can they somehow force Jalen Hurts to be the one that beats them? I mean, the Rams can really get after the quarterback. I mean, all those sacks Monday night against the Vikings. Now, they're not going to do that against the Eagles' offensive line, but can they get enough pressure? Can they do enough to make Hurts uncomfortable? I mean, I almost feel again like I was saying for the Steelers and Ravens, load the box. I mean, it's It's a danger to load the box, though, against the Eagles. I mean, you have to be really committed to stopping the run, try to take away Saquon Barkley. But if you don't get him, because the way the Eagles line opens up the holes for Barkley, that's what makes it so difficult. Because if he gets to the second level, he's gone. And he is gone. This would be a very different game if it was in Los Angeles. If this was in Los Angeles, I would take the Rams right now. Because the Eagles were not very impressive against the Packers. The Rams are playing better than the Eagles. I think this weather is really going to play into the Eagles' hands. But I don't see more than a 7 points at the most. I'm going to say 24-20 Eagles. 24-20 Eagles. I would not be totally surprised if the Rams found a way to win. I'm just having a hard time seeing Matthew Stafford and the Rams in the really cold weather, in the snow, in that Eagles offensive line in Barkley. Just seems like too much of an advantage. In these conditions. And the Rams, if they're not able to get pressure on Jalen Hurts, I don't know. And we'll see if Stafford is able to settle in quick. And if he's able to play better in the cool weather than expected, then, they could possibly win. But to me, it's just a huge home field advantage for the Eagles. It's going to be loud. It's going to be cold and potential snow. All those are huge advantages. And the fact, again, you have Barkley. Huge advantages for the Eagles. Now the featured game. And I've gone back and forth a couple times on Bills and Ravens. Bills and Ravens. As you can throw out the game earlier in the season, the one that was in Baltimore, it doesn't matter. At this point, and these two players are the players that there are the most pressure on. Because the story's been, let's start with Lamar. He's been an MVP. He's the greatest running quarterback in the history of football. He's done everything after what he's done this year in the regular season. He's done everything he can in the regular season. With running, he had a career year. He threw for over 40 touchdowns this year. As a passer, he's improved greatly as a passer. But it's always been on him that he can't win the playoff games. Oh, he can win in the early rounds, but when the pressure is really on, in the big games, the championship games like last year, he couldn't get it done. And when the Ravens play from behind, historically, Lamar has not got it done. When he has to beat you with his arm, coming from behind, and the other team knows that, and you won't have as much as the dual threat of running. And then on the other side, you have Josh Allen. I mean, he hasn't been able to get over the hump himself. I mean, he's gone back and forth with Patrick Mahomes, but they've ran to the Chiefs. Both these teams have ran to the Chiefs, and they can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. I mean, the only man who's been able to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, which quarterback? Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow's not in the playoffs. So it's these two quarterbacks, and these are the two most physically gifted quarterbacks you're going to see. I mean, I think Josh Allen is the most physically gifted quarterback in the history of the sport who's been able to excel. I mean, you may be able to find someone else who's a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, but considering there's no physical, I mean, physically, there really is not an equal to him. I'm talking about guys about 6'5", 250. He's got, no one in the league has a better arm than him. He makes it look easy, firing balls down the field, even in the snow. And then running. You know, he's not as fast as Lamar, who is, but he is big, strong, and fast. I mean, to me, I've always said he's a bigger and he's a better version of Cam Newton. Much better thrower, passer, and he can run. The question is, who's more pressure? Who is there more pressure on? Is it Lamar or is it Josh Allen? I would lean towards Lamar, even though he's a year younger. I just wonder how many more years he can do this and run like he does. I said it last year. I felt like the Ravens had their best opportunity last year because the AFC ran through Baltimore. This year, he's going to have to go through Josh Allen on the road and Patrick Mahomes just to get to the Super Bowl. Whew. That's just almost asking too much. And both these quarterbacks take a lot of hits. It's just Allen can take it more because he's physically bigger than Lamar Jackson. But it's really hard picking a winner because there's so much pressure on both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks played great in the wild card round, but they're expected to win. Now the pressure really is on. They were facing clearly inferior, opponents in the wild card round. Now you have two teams that are close. If you're the Bills, can you get off to a quick lead? Can you take advantage of being at home? And can Josh Allen continue to play at the high level that he's been playing at just about all season and into last week? I mean, I really believe he's going to have to be at his best. Because the Ravens have tightened it up on, when we say tightening it up on defense, that's a good thing. The Ravens have really improved on defense. And they have, Lamar has more support than Allen does. And as great as the two quarterbacks are, and as great as Josh Allen is, can we really simplify the game down to this? Can the Bills stop the Ravens' run game? Do they have the defense? And this one is, it's supposed to snow, I believe, on Saturday, but Sunday it's just cold too. Can they stop? Can they figure out how to stop Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? The Steelers sure couldn't. Can the Bills? I mean, the Bills have way more firepower on offense. But even in this cold weather, is this going to be a high-scoring game? It really could be quite a high-scoring game. Who's going to stop who? Who's going to force the turnovers? I just don't know if the Bills have the defense to do this. I really believe the key for them is getting the ball first, scoring first. And can you get ahead of the Ravens and force Lamar to be a passer and pass and try to win from behind? Because if you're just trying to stop this run, you don't want to do that. I think it's the Ravens, for them, run the ball effectively and force a turnover or two on the road. Don't get behind. And I keep going back and forth on this one. I've been, more often than not, I've been taking the Ravens. I'm going to go Bills in a very close game. I'm going to say 34-31 Bills. It may not be that high scoring. We'll see. But it's going to be very close. And this is a classic game. It may only be topped by the AFC Championship. I mean, the better teams are in the AFC, and I believe whoever, not necessarily who comes out of this game, but whoever comes out of the AFC will be a clear favorite. I would expect them to win the Super Bowl. So those are my picks. I'm going Chiefs, Bills, but man, it's really hard. I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens pull this out. But I'm going to go Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, and Lions.